right, Pat, I'm going to let you say it. You have some news to announce, so tell us the news.
Well, the big news is that I have signed up to Newstalk. I'm going to be presenting a mid-morning programme on Newstalk starting on September the 2nd. And I'm so excited about the prospect, I cannot tell you.
4.5 weeks' time, Monday, September the 2nd,
Yeah.
10 in the morning, Pat Kenny's on Newstalk.
Yeah, for 2.5 hours until 12:30. And that's the plan.
How, okay, so many questions come to mind. First, how long have you worked at RTE?
For 4 decades, 40 years, man and boy. I joined as a continuity announcer and then moved into children's television. Happily, not too many images of that time remain, but that's where I cut my teeth learning television programs. And then I moved on to reading the news and then features programs on radio and television, ultimately presenting a program called Today Tonight, which is the equivalent of Prime Time Today. Then the Eurovision Song Contest in 1988, which led to Kenny Live, which I did for 11 years. That brought me into television entertainment. Meantime, I'm doing mid-morning radio on Radio 1, then the Late Late Show, and then the Frontline. So every so often I've chopped and changed because it's not that I get bored, I don't, but I'm always anxious to kind of have a new challenge for myself. And each of those milestones represented a massive challenge.
But this is big. I mean, this is possibly the biggest change for you personally today.
Well,
I mean,
I thought it would never happen. I mean, that I would be looking at a situation where I could remain with RT, but also someone else wanted me. 2 offers on the table. I just thought, at this stage of my life, if you're going to do it at all, you've got to do it now.
Pat, the question that's going to linger even after they've listened to this news and digested it is why now and why Newstalk?
Well, I think Newstalk has great ambitions. I think it's a station that's growing. It's an adventure I think I can be part of now. I can help it grow. But fundamentally, I have always felt that there should be a market for talent, be they producers, researchers, on-air presenters, reporters. There should be a market for talent. There should be flux. I mean, people learn in one place, go on and use that experience somewhere else. And I think with today's decision on my part, it demonstrates that there is a market out there for talent. I don't like to think that people feel they are either a captive of the independent commercial sector or a captive of RT. There should be flux. And I think my decision is demonstrating that there is flux.
Well, this is going to be the biggest move between the two that you've talked about.
Well, if you go back, you can go back to Ian Dempsey. You can look at Ray Darcy doing things, but you don't even have to look to between the media. For example, you can go to print and look at Matt Cooper, who moved from being predominantly a print journalist. You've got George Hook, who's on later in the day, who works also on RT television. So there is a lively flux. I think people will be surprised. They would think I'm a lifer in RTE. But I mean, there's nothing like surprising people. When I left the Late Late Show, that was a big surprise for people. And then the Frontline was born. And that was something else and something exciting and something that kept me really, really engaged.
People are going to say, okay, Pat's passionate about radio and he's going to transfer that passion to Newstalk. We can understand that. But the television side of things, are you giving up prime time? Is that what you're saying, or do you know what's happening?
Well, what I've said about television is that I have no immediate plans. I hope to return to screens. In what capacity? I don't know. I mean, that's up for discussion with anyone who's interested in talking to me. But I don't want to work with the same intensity of, say, 2 programs a week for 40 weeks of the year. That is quite demanding. What happens at that point is that you get home at midnight, say from a prime time, you're tired, you're up 6:30 in the morning the following day. When you do that twice a week, it's fine for the first 3 or 4 weeks. When you start doing that over 10 weeks, 20 weeks, 30 weeks, 40 weeks, you begin to question whether you can do everything well as you'd like. That's an element that feeds into my decision.
Inevitably, people are going to say that this money comes into this as well. RT has suffered cuts. People are going to say, Pat's gone to Newstalk. Dennis O'Brien and Communicorp must have driven a truck of money to his house to get him.
No, that's absolutely not true. The truck hasn't arrived yet, if that's the case. I had 2 offers on the table. The money was not the overriding factor at all. RTE made me a very generous offer to continue. But I weighed it up, I discussed it with the family, and they kind of detected the enthusiasm I had for fundamental change. The easiest thing in the world would have been to stay put, everything in place, a team that I'm familiar with, whose skills and talents I recognize and appreciate. And then I could have just cruised along. But as I say, I'm someone who likes even to surprise myself sometimes. I mean, the initial reaction would always be, why would I do that? But then you start thinking about it and say, well, you know, maybe I should shake myself up a bit.
So inevitably you're going to ask people to come with you from 10 in the morning until 12:30 now on Newstalk, Pat Kenny. But why should they? What can they expect?
Well, if they have liked what I do, I hope they will find me wherever I am. In television, for example, if you find a program which is available on any one of the Sky channels and on one of the terrestrials, it could be something like reruns of Friends, or it could be Suits, which you can find on one of the Sky channels and also on RT2. You ask them tomorrow morning, what did you watch it on? And they may not be able to tell you. They remember they saw that program. Now, there are some brands which are totally central to TV. If you watch prime time, it's clearly RTE. But a lot of other stuff, people don't know where they found it. They just know they like the product. And I'm hoping that they will slide up the dial from the upper 80s to the 106s and find me there and find a product that is of the same quality or better than the one that I was doing down in the 80s. And that elusive thing, the kitchen radio, will be retuned, not necessarily all day. There's lots of good stuff on all the channels, not necessarily all day, but that it will be a familiar thing for people who may not have discovered Newstalk at that time of the day, that they will find me there and stay and enjoy it.
What are we going to get of Pat Kenny on Newstalk that we haven't had from Pat Kenny for 4 decades? I mean, what are you?
Well, I
looking forward
presume
to?
Newstalk want me because they like what I have done.
Fair enough,
so there will be hopefully the same rigor, the same discipline, the same curiosity. If you had asked me what do I regard as my single greatest asset in broadcasting, it is a curiosity that is undimmed. Curiosity about people, about politics, about everything from psychology to gynecology. I am a very curious individual. If I'm on a train and there's someone sitting opposite me, I can guarantee you by the end of the train journey, I will know everything about them and they possibly will know nothing about me. It's just the way I'm built. So I'm going to bring all of that with me to Newstalk. And you know, we will be creating a program. I don't know what it's going to contain yet. This is fairly new to me as well. It will be designed, it'll be a work in progress. We'll be trying to innovate. If it doesn't work, we'll throw it out. If it does work, we'll do more of it. We'll try and find voices maybe that haven't been heard on radio before. It's, as I say, that's the exciting bit.
Yeah.
You know, you've got a blank page, you bring a certain set of skills to it, and then magic drops, serendipity, whatever you can throw in to make it work.
It's brave. It's brave to leave somewhere, as you said, people would expect to maybe as a buy note, even if it would make it into the media, Pat has re-signed for RTE. People would expect, that's the story that's expected until the news that you've just told us reaches ears. Are you nervous when you discussed it with your wife and family? Are you nervous about a change after being in one place for so long?
Not particularly, no. I mean, the strange thing, you asked me about television earlier. The one thing I can say is I've done so much television over the years that, you know, building a brand identity where television is a really big help is not something I require. I mean, anyone who's over 10 years of age, the younger ones know me from the Toy Show and the Late Late. You know, now the next generation coming up will know Ryan Tubridy as Mr. Toy Show, but virtually anywhere in the country where I go, I am recognised. If I'm sitting in a restaurant, people come over and say hello. If I'm in a pub, people try to buy me more drink than is wise, but want photographs taken and so on. I don't need to build an identity. So part of the whole thing of leaving behind the familiar vehicles is in a sense that I don't need those things anymore. I don't need to be on television. I haven't got a burning desire to be on television. I don't need, to get name recognition or face recognition on the street. I don't need that. So it makes it easier to kind of leave something behind where already the foundations are so strong that I don't think it's going to change people's perception of me.
The passion for talk radio is coming through. There's a new talk radio challenge for you now, waiting in 4.5 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be doing what I do. I hope to bring the skills, the enthusiasms, the curiosity that I've always brought to my radio broadcasting. I hope to bring that to Newstalk. Equally, I've got to try and persuade the people to move down the dial, to stay with me, to be my friends, my listeners, my companions, as they have been in the past. And that's a big challenge. I'm not underestimating that challenge, but I really feel it's time to have a go. But I've got to keep remembering it. Pat Kenny, Newstalk, 10 to 12:30, Monday to Friday, starting September the 2nd. That's the message.
Welcome to the jungle, Pat.
Thanks very much, Chris.